I caught my husband in bed with my sister on our anniversary. Now they're married and pregnant, and so am I. I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am. I'm Lisa, 32F, and I've been married to Tom, 34M, for 8 years. We have 2 beautiful children together, Mia, 6F, and Ethan, 4M. I thought we had a perfect life until everything came crashing down 3 months ago. To give some background, I come from a close-knit family. My parents, John, 58M, and Mary, 56F, have been married for 35 years and have always been our role models. They met in high school and have been inseparable ever since. Growing up, our house was always filled with love and laughter. Family dinners were a nightly ritual, and weekends were spent on camping trips or working on home improvement projects together. I have 2 siblings, my older brother Mark, 36M, and my younger sister Amy, 28F. Mark was always the protective big brother, looking out for Amy and me. He's now married with 2 kids of his own and lives just a few blocks away from our parents. Amy and I were inseparable growing up. Despite the 4-year age gap, we shared everything: clothes, secrets, dreams. She was my best friend and confidant. Amy was always the free spirit of the family. While I was more studious and career-oriented, Amy was artistic and spontaneous. She would spend hours painting in our backyard or writing poetry. Our parents encouraged her creativity, even when it led to some questionable decisions, like dyeing her hair bright blue for prom or deciding to backpack through Europe instead of going to college right away. When I met Tom in college, Amy was the first person I told about him. I remember calling her late at night, gushing about this cute guy I had met in my economics class. She was thrilled for me, even helped plan our first date. Tom and I hit it off immediately. He was smart, funny, and kind. We shared similar values and dreams for the future. After graduation, Tom and I both landed good jobs in our hometown. We bought a small starter home and started planning our wedding. Amy threw herself into helping with the preparations. She designed my wedding invitations, helped me choose my dress, and even sang a beautiful song she had written for us at the reception. Tom and I got married in a beautiful ceremony surrounded by our family and friends. I remember looking at him as we said our vows, thinking how lucky I was to have found my soulmate. After the wedding, we settled into married life easily. We both focused on our careers, taking turns cooking dinner and sharing household chores. A few years into our marriage, we decided to start a family. We were overjoyed when I got pregnant with Mia. Tom was an attentive partner throughout my pregnancy, attending every doctor's appointment and even taking birthing classes with me. When Mia was born, Tom was a natural father. He would spend hours rocking her to sleep, singing lullabies off-key but with so much love. 2 years later, Ethan joined our family. Again, Tom was amazing throughout the pregnancy and early days of parenthood. He always made sure to give Mia extra attention so she wouldn't feel left out with the new baby. Our life seemed perfect. We had 2 beautiful children, successful careers, and a loving extended family. Tom got along well with my family, especially Amy. They shared similar interests in sports and outdoor activities, often going on hikes or to games together. I was happy that my husband and sister got along so well. There were times when I felt a twinge of jealousy at how easily they seemed to connect, but I always brushed it off. After all, Tom was my husband and Amy was my sister. I trusted them both completely. About 6 months ago, I noticed some changes in Tom's behavior. He started working late more often, became secretive with his phone, and seemed distant. At first, I chalked it up to stress at work. Tom had recently taken on a big project and I thought he was just preoccupied. I tried to be supportive, making sure dinner was ready when he got home late and not complaining when he spent weekends catching up on work. Amy, too, started acting strange. She visited less frequently and when she did, she seemed uncomfortable around me. She would avoid eye contact and her usual bubbly personality seemed subdued. I tried asking her if everything was okay, but she always brushed me off, saying she was just tired from work. 3 months ago, I discovered the truth in the worst possible way. It was our wedding anniversary, and I had planned a surprise dinner for Tom and me. I left work early to set everything up at home. I had bought Tom's favorite wine, prepared his favorite meal, and even put on the dress I had worn on our first date. When I arrived home, I heard noises from upstairs. Thinking Tom was home early, I went up to our bedroom, excited to surprise him. What I saw there shattered my world. Tom and Amy were in bed together. I stood frozen in the doorway, unable to process what I was seeing. They scrambled to cover themselves, both looking guilty and scared. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. Tom started saying something, but I couldn't hear him over the roaring in my ears. I turned and ran out of the house, ignoring their calls. I got in my car and drove, not sure where I was going. I ended up at my parents' house, barely able to see through my tears. When I arrived, my parents were alarmed by my state. My mom immediately enveloped me in a hug while my dad hovered anxiously. Through sobs, I managed to tell them what I had seen. My father was furious, his face turning red as he paced the living room. My mother was devastated, tears streaming down her face as she held me. Mark, who happened to be visiting, was ready to go confront Tom right then and there. It took both my parents to calm him down. Over the next few days, the truth came out. Tom and Amy had been having an affair for nearly a year. It started innocently enough, friendly chats after family gatherings, then coffee meetups, and eventually, it turned physical. They claimed they never meant for it to happen, that they fell in love unexpectedly. Each revelation felt like a fresh betrayal. I was devastated. The two people I trusted most in the world had betrayed me in the worst possible way. I felt like I was living in a nightmare. Tom begged for forgiveness, saying it was a mistake and that he wanted to work on our marriage. He swore he would end things with Amy and go to counseling, do whatever it took to save our family. Amy cried and apologized, saying she would do anything to make it right. She said she had tried to end things with Tom multiple times, but they kept getting drawn back to each other. But I couldn't forgive them. The betrayal was too deep, too painful. Every time I looked at Tom, all I could see was him with my sister. Every memory of our life together now felt tainted. I asked Tom to move out and filed for divorce. I cut off all contact with Amy, despite her constant attempts to reach out. My parents were supportive of my decision, although I could see the pain in their eyes at seeing their family torn apart. The past 3 months have been a blur of lawyers, custody arrangements, and trying to explain to my children why Daddy doesn't live with us anymore. Mia and Ethan are confused and upset, which breaks my heart even more. Mia keeps asking when Daddy is coming home and why they can't see Aunt Amy anymore. Ethan is too young to fully understand, but he senses the tension and has become clingy, often waking up at night crying for Tom. My parents and Mark have been my rocks through all of this. They've helped with the kids, supported me emotionally, and even assisted with the practical aspects of separating my life from Tom's. Mark has been particularly protective, screening my calls and even staying over some nights when I felt too overwhelmed to be alone. But I know it's hard for them too. They love Tom like a son, and Amy is still their daughter, despite what she's done. I can see the conflict in my mom's eyes when she talks about Amy. She's torn between her anger at what Amy did and her love for her youngest daughter. My dad is less conflicted. He's furious with both Tom and Amy and has made it clear they're not welcome in his home. The hardest part is the loneliness. I've lost my husband and my sister in one fell swoop. Family gatherings are now awkward affairs, with Amy conspicuously absent and everyone trying to avoid the elephant in the room. I've thrown myself into work and taking care of the kids, but the nights are long and painful. I lie awake, replaying memories and wondering how I could have been so blind. I'm trying to move forward, but it's hard. Every time I see a happy couple, I'm reminded of what I've lost. Every time Mia asks when Aunt Amy is coming to visit, my heart breaks all over again. I'm in therapy, trying to work through my feelings, but the anger and hurt are still raw. Yesterday, I received a call from my mother. She was crying and could barely get the words out. Tom and Amy are engaged. They're planning to get married as soon as my divorce is finalized. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. It's bad enough that they betrayed me, but to flaunt their relationship like this? It feels cruel and insensitive. I don't know how to handle this. How am I supposed to co-parent with Tom when he's married to my sister? How can I ever face family gatherings knowing they'll be there, happy and in love, while I'm alone? How do I explain to my children that their aunt is now going to be their stepmother? I feel lost and alone. I know I need to be strong for my kids, but right now, I'm struggling to even get out of bed in the morning. I'm considering moving away, starting fresh somewhere new where I don't have to see them or be reminded of their betrayal every day. But is that fair to my kids? To my parents? I never thought I'd be in this position. I'm angry, hurt, and confused. I don't know what to do next. Any advice would be appreciated. How do I navigate this mess without completely falling apart? Update 1, it's been 2 months since my last post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone for their support and advice. It's been overwhelming but incredibly helpful to know I'm not alone in this. After much consideration and discussions with my therapist, I decided to stay in our hometown for now. As many of you pointed out, moving away would disrupt my children's lives even more, and they need stability right now. Instead, I focused on creating a new normal for us. The divorce proceedings are moving forward. Tom didn't contest anything, probably out of guilt. We've agreed on joint custody, with the kids primarily living with me. It's been hard, but I'm trying to keep things civil for Mia and Ethan's sake. We've set up a schedule where Tom has the kids every other weekend and one evening during the week for dinner. The first time I had to drop the kids off at Tom's new apartment was gut-wrenching. Mia was excited to see her dad, but Ethan clung to me, crying. I had to fight back tears as I handed him over to Tom. As I drove away, I saw Tom comforting Ethan in the rearview mirror, and it hit me all over again how much our lives had changed. As for Amy and Tom's engagement, it's the talk of the town. People have been surprisingly supportive of me, often going out of their way to check in or offer help. My neighbor, Susan, has been bringing over casseroles and offering to watch the kids. My old college roommate, Rachel, drove 3 hours to spend a weekend with me, just to keep me company. It's heartwarming, but also embarrassing to know that everyone is aware of my personal drama. My parents are struggling with the situation. They're torn between their love for Amy and their anger at what she's done. Mom tried to convince me to reconcile with Amy, saying life's too short for grudges. We had a heated argument about it last week. Mom said that Amy was still my sister and that I would regret cutting her out of my life. I told her that Amy had made her choice when she decided to sleep with my husband. I know it hurts Mom to see her family fractured like this, but I'm not ready to forgive and forget. Dad, on the other hand, has barely spoken to Amy since the news broke. He refused to attend their engagement party, which caused a huge fight with Mom. I hate seeing my parents at odds because of this, but I'm grateful for Dad's unwavering support. He's been coming over more often, helping me with house repairs and spending time with the kids. I can see how much it pains him to see our family in this state. Mark has been my fierce protector through all of this. He's made it clear to Tom and Amy that they're not welcome around him or his family. It's caused some tension, especially with our parents, but I appreciate him having my back. Last week, he ran into Tom at the grocery store and nearly got into a fist fight. I had to talk him down over the phone, reminding him that causing a scene would only make things worse. The hardest part has been explaining the situation to Mia and Ethan. How do you tell young children that their aunt is going to be their new stepmother? I've tried to be honest without burdening them with adult problems. They are confused and upset, especially Mia, who was very close to Amy. Mia asked me the other day if she did something wrong to make Daddy leave. It broke my heart to hear her blame herself. I reassured her that it wasn't her fault, that sometimes adults make mistakes, but that both her dad and I love her very much. Last week, I ran into Amy at the grocery store. It was the first time I'd seen her since that day. She looked different, thinner, with dark circles under her eyes. She tried to talk to me, tears in her eyes, begging for a chance to explain. I couldn't do it. I turned and walked away, leaving a full cart of groceries behind. I spent the rest of the day in bed, crying. The encounter brought back all the pain and anger I've been trying to work through. Tom has been trying to make amends. He's been punctual with child support, flexible with the custody schedule, and has even offered to go to family therapy with me and the kids. Part of me appreciates his efforts, but a larger part is still too hurt and angry to accept. Last week, he offered to take the kids for an extra day so I could have a break. I agreed, but spent the whole day anxious and checking my phone, half expecting him to cancel or for something to go wrong. I've started dating again, mostly at the insistence of my friends who think it'll help me move on. I've been on a few coffee dates, but my heart's not in it. It feels too soon, and I'm not ready to trust anyone again. The last date I went on, a nice guy named Mike, spent the whole time talking about his ex-wife. I found myself nodding along, understanding his pain all too well. Work has been my saving grace. I've thrown myself into my job, even taking on extra projects. My boss has been understanding, allowing me flexibility when I need it for the kids or lawyer appointments. I recently completed a big project that I'm really proud of. It's nice to feel competent and in control in at least one area of my life. As for Tom and Amy's wedding plans, I've made it clear to my family that I won't be attending, nor will my children. This has caused some conflict, especially with my mom, who thinks it's important for the kids to be there. We had a long, tearful phone call about it last night. Mom thinks I'm being selfish, that I'm punishing the kids to get back at Tom and Amy. I tried to explain that I'm just trying to protect myself and my children from more pain. I'm standing firm on this. I won't subject myself or my children to watching that spectacle. I'm taking it one day at a time. Some days are better than others. Yesterday was a good day. I took the kids to the park and we had a picnic. Hearing their laughter as they played on the swings felt like a balm for my soul. Other days are harder. Last week, I found an old photo album and spent hours crying over pictures of happier times. I'm focusing on my kids, my job, and healing. It's a slow process, but I'm hopeful that eventually, it won't hurt quite so much. For now, I'm just trying to get through each day, to be there for my children, and to slowly rebuild my life. Update 2. It's been 6 months since my last update, and life has settled into a new rhythm. The divorce is finalized, and Tom and Amy are now married. They had a small ceremony last month, which I obviously didn't attend. My parents and Mark didn't go either, which I appreciate more than I can express. Mom was torn about it, but in the end, she decided that supporting me was more important. Dad didn't even consider going. He said he couldn't bear to watch Amy make such a huge mistake. Co-parenting with Tom has been challenging, to say the least. We communicate mostly through a parenting app, which helps keep things civil and documented. The kids spend every other weekend with him, and it's been hard watching them leave, knowing they're going to be with Amy too. The first time they went for a weekend visit after the wedding was particularly difficult. Mia came home talking about the pretty party and how Aunt Amy looked like a princess. I had to excuse myself to the bathroom to cry. Mia and Ethan are adjusting, but it's not easy. Mia especially is having a hard time. She's angry and confused, often lashing out at school and at home. Last week, she got into a fight with another kid at school who made a comment about her weird family. We had a long talk that night, and I realized how much she's been bottling up. She's angry at Tom for leaving, at Amy for stealing her dad, and even at me for not fixing everything. We've started her in play therapy, which seems to be helping a little. Ethan is too young to fully understand, but he picks up on the tension and has become clingy. He's been having nightmares and often crawls into my bed in the middle of the night. I had my first real confrontation with Amy since everything happened. She showed up at my house unannounced, wanting to talk. I was angry at first, but something in her face made me listen. She looked tired and sad, not at all like the happily married woman I expected. She poured her heart out, telling me how sorry she was, how she never meant for any of this to happen. She said she understood if I could never forgive her, but she missed her sister and wanted to find a way to be in the kids' lives. She talked about how hard it is to be a stepmother to her niece and nephew, how Mia sometimes cries for me when she's at their house, and how she doesn't know how to comfort her without overstepping. I didn't say much. I let her talk, and when she was done, I told her I needed time. I'm not ready to forgive or forget, but I'm starting to realize that for the sake of my children, I might need to find a way to coexist with her and Tom. It's not going to be easy, and I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to have a real relationship with Amy again, but I'm trying to be open to the possibility of stability. My parents are still struggling. Mom is trying to maintain relationships with both her daughters, which is causing tension with Dad, who's still furious with Amy. They've started marriage counseling to work through their issues. It breaks my heart to see how this situation has affected everyone. Last Sunday dinner, which used to be a warm family tradition, was a tense affair with forced small talk and long, awkward silences. On a brighter note, I've been promoted at work. The long hours and extra projects paid off, and I'm now heading my own team. It's challenging but rewarding, and it's given me a much-needed confidence boost. My new role comes with a significant pay raise, which has eased some of the financial stress of being a single parent. I've even started putting money aside for a family vacation with the kids next summer. I've also met someone. His name is Alex, 36M, and he's a single dad I met at one of Mia's school events. We bonded over the challenges of raising kids alone and have been on a few casual dates. We've been taking things very slowly, but it's nice to have someone to talk to who understands the complexities of dating as a parent. Last week, we took our kids to the zoo together. Seeing Mia laugh and play with Alex's son gave me hope that maybe, someday, we could all be happy again. As for Tom and Amy, they've bought a house in the same school district as me. I'm trying to be okay with this for the kids' sake, but it's hard knowing they're so close. I ran into them at the grocery store last week, and it was awkward and painful. Tom has been pushing for more time with the kids, including having them stay overnight at his new house. I'm resistant to this idea, but my lawyer advises that I need to be flexible unless I want to end up back in court. I'm still in therapy, working through my anger and trust issues. It's a slow process, but I'm starting to have more good days than bad. I'm learning to focus on the things I can control and let go of the things I can't. My therapist has been helping me develop coping strategies for when things get overwhelming. Deep breathing exercises and journaling have become part of my daily routine. Looking ahead, I know there will be more challenges. How do we handle holidays? What happens when Amy and Tom have kids of their own? But for now, I'm taking it one day at a time, focusing on my healing and my children's well-being. I'm not the same person I was before all this happened, but maybe, just maybe, I'm becoming someone stronger. Update 3. It's been a year since my last update, and life has taken some unexpected turns. The biggest news is that I'm pregnant. Alex and I have been together for about 10 months now, and while this wasn't planned, we're excited about the new addition to our family. Mia and Ethan are thrilled about having a new sibling. Mia's already talking about all the things she wants to teach the baby, and Ethan keeps patting my belly and saying hello to his little brother or sister. Telling Tom about the pregnancy was awkward, to say the least. I felt it was important to tell him in person, so I asked him to meet me at a neutral location, a coffee shop we used to frequent. When I broke the news, he congratulated me, but I could see the hurt in his eyes. It made me realize that despite everything, a part of him still cares. He asked about Alex and how the kids were taking the news. The conversation was civil, almost friendly, which was a strange feeling after all we've been through. Speaking of Tom and Amy, they're expecting too. Amy is about 4 months along. When I heard the news, I had mixed emotions. Part of me was angry, it felt like they were replacing the family we once had. But another part of me realized that this child, my children's half-sibling, is innocent in all of this. I'm trying to be mature about it for the sake of Mia and Ethan. Co-parenting has gotten easier over time. Tom and I have found a rhythm that works for us and the kids. We've even managed to attend school events together without too much tension. Last month, we all went to Mia's school play. Sitting next to Tom and Amy in the audience was uncomfortable, but seeing Mia's face light up when she saw all of us there made it worthwhile. Amy's presence is still difficult for me, but I'm learning to tolerate it for the sake of the children. We've had a few civil conversations about the kids' schedules and needs. It's not friendship, but it's progress. Last week, when Ethan was sick and I had an important meeting at work, Amy offered to take care of him. It was hard to accept her help, but it was the best option for Ethan. Mia and Ethan have adjusted better than I expected. They enjoy spending time with their dad and seem to have accepted Amy's presence in their lives. It's still hard for me to hear them talk about their time at Dad and Amy's house, but I'm trying to be supportive. Mia's play therapy has been helping her process her emotions, and she's doing much better in school. Ethan's nightmares have become less frequent, and he's back to his cheerful self most days. My relationship with my parents has improved. They've worked through their issues and are presenting a united front again. They're excited about the new grandchild on the way, and it's been nice to see them so happy. Dad has even started to thaw towards Amy, although their relationship is still strained. Mom is over the moon about having 2 new grandchildren and has already started knitting baby blankets. As for Amy, we're not friends, and I don't think we ever will be again. But we've reached a point where we can be civil for family gatherings. We had our first Thanksgiving together last month, and while it was tense, we made it through without any major incidents. It was strange to see her pregnant, knowing that our children will be so close in age. Work continues to be a positive aspect of my life. I've been open with my boss about the pregnancy, and they've been supportive, assuring me that my position will be waiting for me after maternity leave. My team has been fantastic, stepping up to take on extra responsibilities as I prepare for my absence. Alex has been my rock through all of this. He understands the complexities of our situation and has been patient and supportive. We're talking about moving in together after the baby is born. It's a big step, but it feels right. His son, Jack, has become close with Mia and Ethan, and it's heartwarming to see them all together. Looking back on the past 2 years, I'm amazed at how much has changed. The pain of Tom and Amy's betrayal is still there, but it's no longer all-consuming. I've found happiness again, in my career, in my relationship with Alex, and in the love of my children. I'm nervous about the future, about how we'll navigate the complexities of our blended families, but I'm also excited. For the first time in a long time, I'm looking forward to what's next.